Now, the one thing I will give these overpriced tanks is how good they are at showing fingerprint oil. How's it going, Internet? You may be wondering why I am showing you this, cracked terrarium. Well, it certainly wasn't cracked when I built it. When I first built this, there was, like, one little piece of Futonia, one little piece of oak leaf creeping fig, and, about a square inch of moss.
Hello and welcome to VoiceOver Land because I cussed an extremely large amount of time while making this and I was severely overtired. You get what you pay for. This original 0.8 gallon vase that I built my cave terrarium in, the lava rock is all stuff that I found, by the way. It was a little rough on top, and I'm just really happy I didn't put shrimp in it. About 2 months after having it, the first major crack formed, and it went all the way down to the bottom of the terrarium, like into the center. And about a month after that, the big crack along the back happened. I don't know how. I have my suspicions, but I'm not going to get into that today. Before we tear it down, here's a brief look of how it was growing. Remember, this started off as just one cutting of Futonia, one cutting of oak leaf creeping fig, and about, a poker chip size of moss. I intentionally did it that way to see how far I could stretch the barest bones of trimmings, and despite the fact that we're going to be tearing it down, I feel that the initial terrarium itself was a success, so hopefully we can replicate that in the overpriced bullshit tank. As you can see, the original substrate is absolutely teeming with springtails, so we're going to try and save as much of that as we can and reuse it. I only put in about a dozen initially, so it's really nice to see how quickly they can breed in optimum conditions. Additionally, let's take a quick brief look at the plants that we harvested out that we are going to be, replanting. Don't really plant moss, you just kind of push it into the soil so it can wick up moisture and nutrients, but that is neither here nor there. Most people have clicked off by now anyways. Next, we're going to be adding in the drainage layer. I'm taking the drainage layer from the old terrarium, however, due to the increased surface size, we're going to need some more. Now, paradoxically, some people say with little terrariums you can get away without them. For me, I find the larger the terrarium, the less important the drainage layer is. However, because I make these videos for beginners, I will not go into how to do that. If you know how to do a drainage layer, that's good. If you know how to make a terrarium without one, you don't need to have the tutorial. Up next, we're going to be adding in the substrate barrier, which impedes the substrate from mixing into the drainage layer and making it useless. The best would be window screen mesh or weed matting. However, I'm a cheap ass, so I use plastic with holes punched into it. Next, we're going to be adding in the old terrarium substrate with some new, because of the increased amount that I need for the larger tank. The original substrate already had a really healthy culture of beneficial bacteria, springtails, and mycorrhizae. That stuff's really cheap and easy to get a hold of. I live in the middle of nowhere and I can get a hold of it fairly easy. You just need to know how to look for it. Anyone attempting to sell you specific terrarium substrate or specific terrarium mycorrhizae and beneficial bacteria is scamming you. Don't buy it. As always, we're going to be sloping our substrate up in the back for illusory depth. Because of the large structure that we're going to be putting in here, it's not as important since we're going to be backfilling to build that up and create kind of like a cliff look. However, it's still kind of important just to have good practices, and it helps us add some depth to the front of the structure as well. As for this particular mixture of substrate, it's topsoil compost that I make, and I don't really know what to tell you about that. Everyone's compost is going to be different. But yeah, then some leaf litter, some sticks, some sphagnum moss, coconut husk, a little bit of sand, a little bit of gravel, things to give it the ability to maintain moisture and to maintain its shape and rigidity. That's a bit more important when you're adding in a burrowing animal like a tarantula, scorpion, vinegaroon, centipede, stuff like that. we're not going to be doing that, but it's still good to have good practices. Due to the fact that this one terrarium broke and it's going to get its structure relocated into a larger one, I didn't really have time to pre-plan out the build. There's life that I needed to account for, such as the springtails and plants. So, for me at least, when I watch people's videos, I do kind of like to get to see how they work through building their hardscapes and stuff. So, unlike a lot of my other videos where I already have the idea done, I'm going to let you guys see me kind of work through the process. I'll probably do a couple of cuts here and there for like when there's a lot of filler. And I will chime back in with the original audio periodically. But oh my god, dude, I cuss so much. So yeah, that's not YouTube friendly. Also, it wouldn't be one of my videos without an obscene amount of glare that completely destroys any ability for people to see the nuance of the rocks that I choose. I don't really know what to do about that. I did do one video where I filmed it at like midnight, and I thought that came out well, but I have a I have a bunch of feral cats, so that's when they like to give me the most bit of trouble. And that wasn't working out for me either. So whatever. It sucks to be me. But hey, anyway, if you're still around, because this is at like 6 or 7 minutes right now, hopefully by seeing me tool around with this stuff, you can get an idea of how you yourself can make minor tweaks to your hardscape and get an actually completely different look with the same pieces.
I accidentally killed a springtail.
This corner of the barrier popping up ended up being a bane for me the entire time and afterwards too. I've gone back and trimmed it. And it's in the corner too, so it's infuriating. Anyway, um don't rush. I rushed because I didn't want the plants to start wilting or drying out, being, first going from like an 85% humidity terrarium to a 10% humidity desert. Yeah.
I don't really like that. Huh.
Now, when all was said and done with messing around with the rocks, I decided I wanted to go with the original design with a path in it anyways because I was right the first time. I used some sticks in the original design to simulate some dead roots. However, there's also the structural component of helping impede the soil from falling into the gap of the cave. If you saw me trying to put the big rock up in the back, I was thinking about it that way as well. However, I kind of like the rock, so that's why it got moved back to the forward like in the original design. There's a lot more of these twig, root, vine things in the original one. However, I just didn't reuse them all. It probably would have looked better with some, but I really just wanted to get it over with and done because once again, I didn't want the plants to wilt.
And just doing some little cosmetic stuff before we get to planting. So next what I want to do, I'm gonna make mild depression, much like a lot in my life. And hopefully I can get some gravel to behave the way I want it to.
Now, under normal circumstances, I'd want to use like a funnel, but I'm not going to do that because I am drastically overtired. Alright, now I still haven't 100% decided where I want to plant this shit, but I'm going to need more. So, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some Fittonia. Then I'll plant some of the, first, you know what, I'll get the oak leaf creeping fig somewhere. That is a long root. I don't know how well that's going to repopulate. But hey, I got some moss in there. Okay, maybe I can trick it. Just kind of replicate what it was already doing. Don't want to press too hard. So don't want to press not too hard enough. Anyway, these are unrooted cuttings. We got one white, excuse me, one red, two white, and then we have the three pink ones. I think y'all can see where that's going. So now, as I'm putting the moss in, or back in rather, gonna try and break it up a little bit like I'd been doing. That'll help it grow in pretty well. Gotta get some up top, even though it won't be necessarily visible right away. You know what? You can see, like, kind of liking that stuff. When we're doing this, god damn it, we are kind of like I said, we're gonna be breaking up the moss and just kind of planting it all over. So yeah, like even though I'm planting it in like the same area, like there, yeah, I'm breaking it up when I'm planting it in there so that it spreads laterally faster. Yeah. All right, we are definitely getting there. Not done yet. I still got some moss. But honestly, like, I started planting in the back to where you guys couldn't really see. And then, my cats, being able to tell that I was busy, decided to start being cats. So, I decided to stop recording. And it's hard to, like, you know, film on my phone while also putting stuff in. So, almost done. I just wanted to let you know, see how I was like spacing stuff out and shit like that. That one on this side's probably not as healthy. I might need to fucking replace that compared to something like that. But yeah, keeps on turning, I guess.
So this is how it looked when I decided I was done for the day. Gotta go back in and make some minor tweaks, especially as things grow in, trim, and replant. But my cats were going absolutely crazy, chasing each other around, knocking each other down, and I didn't sleep the night before. So, let's see how it's looking in a bit.
Alright, so here we are, about 2 weeks later. I usually like to wait closer to 4 weeks, but I have some shit coming up in my life, so I have to just get it done now. As you can see, I did add a little bit more Fittonia. However, those smaller sections are all cuttings. Still dealing with that one issue on that one piece of oak leaf. But as you can see in the back there, let me zoom in real quick. Yeah, it's got some leaf growth. Considering that this just started, and oh, this one's going insane. Grown on there. All the way down. No, that's not gonna show up well. But got a lot of root growth. Considering that it just started with one little poker chip size of moss, I think we're doing pretty great. You've probably noticed that back there. Does this one show? I don't know where that one went. Oh yeah. There.
And up front here, there's some kind of thing spawned in. Must have been some seed or something that fell into my main stock of soil. Not sure what that is. I'm leaving it in for the time being. I think it's pretty good. Probably due to the hundreds, if not thousands, of springtails that were already in the soil. Never actually got mold on the sticks. And as you can see, I did end up adding some more. Overall, I think it's a pretty good success. Moss growing pretty thick. I don't really know how often I'm going to be uploading here in the near future. So although I normally got some nice growth there, I don't know how well I'm going to be keeping up with this recent increase in posting frequency. So I had to give this to you guys now. Anyway, probably still going to be fairly consistent for the next couple of weeks. But then I'll probably be MIA for a long time and kill any momentum I made. So, see you when I see ya.